I reckon I was a head case for a long time, many years. Being in the rainforest, it stills my mind, it calms my mind. When I'm down there, I just think about where I am. I listen for the sound of the birds. I love listening at the sound of the rivers, walking the mountain trails. And it's a place where I can find real peace. Who am I? So my name's Dean Yates. I'm a former journalist. And I guess I look back at the start of some of the traumatic events I covered as a journalist for Reuters, the Bali bombings in 2002, for example. Then in 2003, I was in Iraq on assignment. 2004, of course, was the Boxing Day tsunami, which I covered. Likewise, 2004, I spent more time in Iraq. 2005, I was in Gaza for Israel's withdrawal of settlers. And then from 2007 to 2008, I was the bureau chief for Reuters in Baghdad. Indonesia being Indonesia, wasn't great security around the bomb site. And basically you could just walk around it and walk over bits of it. And as I was doing this, my foot dislodged a piece of debris. And underneath that debris was a bloodied hand. And I just felt this evil in the air. And it was the first time I'd seen what a bomb could do to a human being. I think one of the real problems with PTSD, mental illness in general perhaps, is that you live inside this other world. Time seems to stand still. It's impossible to think about the future. You just don't feel anything for anyone. And it's that numbness that I think is one of the worst symptoms of PTSD. But I think for me that numbness was the biggest issue. And I think it sort of makes sense when you think about it, because when you witness the impact of bomb attacks, natural disasters, war, and what it does to people, you numb yourself because you don't want to feel that yourself. But then the problem is when you return to the real world, that numbness is still there. I know one time last year, Mary, my wife, was afraid that I was going to hit her because I was so angry at something she said. In fact, she said to me, we're sick of walking on eggshells. And I just hate that word. And it's funny, but when I was in the psychiatric ward with a lot of veterans, a lot of coppers, it's the same word that they hate as well. But it seems to be the universal description for what it's like living in a house with someone who's got PTSD. It's like walking on eggshells.
There we are, mate. There's your coffee. Have a good day. I'll see you this afternoon.
Early last year, Mary came to me. She broke down. She just said, we just can't go on like this. We just cannot survive like this with you the way you are, and you need to get help. It wasn't until I was admitted to a psychiatric ward last year that I was able to finally start to get to grips with what PTSD was doing to my mind, to my body, and to my family. Of all the things that I experienced and witnessed and went through, nothing comes close to the agony of losing three of our people. That really affected me deeply. At the time, it did, but I sort of buried the emotion of what happened, and I buried the responsibility that I felt over their deaths until, I guess, a few years ago. What we didn't realize at that time was that the US military had decided that anyone seen in the streets of Baghdad with a weapon was considered hostile and could therefore be engaged. They could be shot at. And We just didn't know this. And so our Namir and Sayed, they were walking around. A few of these guys they were with appeared to be carrying AK-47s. A chain of events occurred that resulted in one of the helicopters opening fire on this group, which included Namir and Sayed. And they were killed. I still, it's even, this is now 10 years on, and I feel responsible for that. It's because I was responsible for the safety of my staff. And even to this day, people say to me, you did everything you could. There was nothing you did wrong. But I question that, because did I, for example, ask the US military, what are your rules of engagement? Have they changed? When someone develops PTSD, they will never be the same person that they were. And I think that for a variety of reasons. And look, I prefer who I am now than the person I was for 47, 46 years beforehand. I actually think that having PTSD has given me an insight into life that I would not have otherwise had. It's given me an insight into mental illness that I would never have had. And it's given me an insight into how the suffering of other people. And it's allowed me to have empathy, which I wouldn't have had before. So I think it has actually made me a better person, or want to at least be a better person, and to help people and to do things for the greater good. And so I'm actually happier with the person I am now.